Have you ever stood in Paris, gazing up at that magnificent iron lattice structure, and wondered how on earth they built this thing? The Eiffel Tower is one of the most recognized landmarks in the world, a symbol of love, art, and French ingenuity. But its story, the story of its creation, is just as spectacular as the tower itself. Today, we're going to dive deep into how the Eiffel Tower was built and the incredible challenges Gustave Eiffel and his team had to overcome. It all started in the late 1880s. Paris was gearing up to host the 1889 Exposition Universelle, or World's Fair, which also marked the 100th anniversary of the French Revolution. The French government launched a design competition to build a monumental centerpiece for the exhibition, on the Champ de Mars. The goal was to create something that would showcase France's industrial and engineering prowess to the world. Out of 107 proposals, the design submitted by Gustave Eiffel's company was chosen. Now, it's a common misconception that Gustave Eiffel himself designed the tower. The initial concept actually came from two of his senior engineers, Maurice Koechlin and Émile Nouguier, along with architect Stephen Sylvester, who refined the aesthetics. Eiffel, however, was the brilliant entrepreneur and engineer who championed the project, bought the rights to the patent, and put his name on it. He was the driving force that turned the drawing into reality. The design was revolutionary, a tower made almost entirely of wrought iron, soaring to a height of 300 meters, or about 1,000 feet. At the time, it would be the tallest man-made structure in the world, dwarfing the Washington Monument, which held the title then. The very idea was audacious, and many people thought it was impossible. Construction began on January 28, 1887. The first major challenge was the foundation. The tower stands near the Seine River, which means the ground is unstable and waterlogged. To support the immense weight of over 10,000 tons, they had to dig deep. For the two legs on the side furthest from the river, they laid foundations of concrete and stones several meters deep. But for the two legs closer to the Seine, they had to use a brilliant piece of engineering. Watertight caissons. Imagine huge, hollow iron boxers. These caissons were sunk deep into the ground, and compressed air was pumped into them to keep the water out. Workers would then descend into these pressurized chambers to excavate the earth by hand, digging down until they hit a stable layer of gravel. It was dangerous, physically demanding work, under immense pressure, but it worked. These deep, solid foundations were crucial for the tower's stability. With the foundations secure, the real spectacle began. The assembly of the iron lattice. This is where the genius of Eiffel's company truly shone. The entire tower is made of over 18,000 individual wrought iron parts, all held together by 2.5 million rivets. But here's the amazing part. Almost every single one of these pieces was prefabricated off-site at Eiffel's factory in a suburb of Paris. Each piece was designed and manufactured with incredible precision, down to 1/10 of a millimeter. The rivet holes were drilled. This was like the world's largest, most complex IKEA set. The components were then brought to the construction site by horse-drawn carts and assembled according to meticulously detailed drawings. This prefabrication method was key to the speed and accuracy of the construction. It minimized the work that needed to be done high up in the air. As the tower grew, another challenge emerged: how to get the materials and workers up there. Initially, they used tall cranes, or creepers, that actually climbed up the tower on the very tracks that would later be used for the elevators. It was an ingenious system. The assembly process was a carefully choreographed dance. A team of 4 men was needed for each rivet. One heated the rivet until it was white-hot, another placed it in the hole, a third held it in place, and a fourth hammered the other end to form a permanent head. As the rivet cooled, it contracted, pulling the iron plates tightly together. This method is what gives the tower its incredible strength and rigidity. But the project wasn't just an engineering marvel, it was also a social and political battleground. As the tower rose higher and higher, a storm of criticism erupted from Paris's artistic and literary elite. A group of 300 prominent figures, including famous writers like Guy de Maupassant and Alexandre Dumas the Younger, signed a petition called the Protest Against the Tower of Monsieur Eiffel. They called it a truly tragic street lamp, a gigantic black smokestack, and a hateful column of bolted sheet metal. They argued it would be a hideous scar on the beautiful Parisian skyline. Imagine that. The very symbol of Paris was once considered an eyesore. Eiffel had to constantly defend his project, arguing for its scientific value and its beauty as a demonstration of modern engineering. He famously said, "Are we to believe that because one is an engineer, one is not preoccupied by beauty in one's constructions?" Despite the public outcry, the work continued at a breathtaking pace. The first level was completed in just over a year. The second level was finished by early 1889. The most difficult part was joining the 4 massive legs together at the first level. Eiffel used hydraulic jacks in the foundations to adjust the legs with millimeter precision so they would meet perfectly. The speed and safety of the construction were unprecedented for the time. In an era when large-scale construction projects were notoriously deadly, the Eiffel Tower had only one fatality during its construction, and it happened when a worker was off duty. Eiffel was a stickler for safety, implementing guardrails, screens, and movable platforms to protect his workers. Finally, on March 31, 1889, after 2 years, 2 months, and 5 days of relentless work, the tower was complete. Gustave Eiffel himself climbed the 1,710 steps to the top and unfurled a giant French flag. The critics were gradually silenced as millions of visitors flocked to see the tower during the World's Fair. It was an immediate, overwhelming success. People were captivated by the panoramic views of Paris and the sheer audacity of the structure. The elevators themselves were another technological marvel. It was a huge challenge to design elevators that could travel up the curved legs of the tower. American company Otis designed the elevators for the north and south pillars, while a French company handled the east and west. These innovative systems were crucial for making the tower accessible to the public. Originally, the Eiffel Tower was only meant to be a temporary structure, with a permit to stand for 20 years before being dismantled. So, what saved it? Science. Gustave Eiffel knew the artistic arguments wouldn't be enough, so from the very beginning, he pitched the tower as a valuable tool for scientific research. He built a small apartment and a laboratory at the top where he conducted experiments in meteorology and aerodynamics. But the tower's true saving grace was the dawn of a new technology, wireless telegraphy. Its height made it the perfect antenna. In the early 1900s, the French military began using it for radio telegraphy, communicating with ships in the Atlantic and even intercepting enemy messages during World War I. Its strategic importance became undeniable. The temporary monument had found a permanent purpose. So, the next time you see a picture of the Eiffel Tower, or if you're lucky enough to see it in person, remember the story behind it. It's not just a beautiful landmark. It's a testament to bold vision, incredible precision, and the perseverance to overcome immense technical and social challenges. It's the story of how a team of brilliant engineers, led by a determined visionary, built a temporary marvel that became an eternal icon. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the history of the Eiffel Tower, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories behind the world's greatest creations. See you in the next one.